So last Sunday, myself and 140 other runners participated in the Chesapeake Public Library's fun run, Loop Around the Lake. So there were 3 distances that people could run in: the 1 kilometer, the 5 kilometer, or the 12 kilometer. Now, such distances, of course, don't equate to the length of a marathon, which is 42 kilometers. But I suspect that there were some people who were just not fit enough and hit the wall. Now, having run the loop, that there were no walls that one could hit, so it's a figurative term. And it's a term used by marathoners, hitting the wall, which describes the feeling that one no longer has the energy to run that long a distance. So why do people hit the wall? It's because they've run out of energy. Now, hitting the wall described by one marathon runner was similar to the effect of an elephant jumping out of a tree, landing on your shoulders, and having to run to the end, that last 10 kilometers with the elephant and you having no energy. That's what hitting the wall is like. And of course, if one's going to be running in a marathon, one wants to win, but how does one overcome this elephant on one's shoulders if one desires to run? Well, in order to run a marathon well and to avoid hitting the wall, one has to be in good physical condition and have trained properly. One should not be sprinting, but keeping a nice pace so that the oxygen can flow relatively well, and ultimately to stay nourished and hydrated throughout. So again, why does one often hit the wall? And usually happens at 3/4 of the way in. So at the 32nd point of the marathon, one hits the wall. Why at that point? Well, what happens at that precise point is that the most calories that, in terms of glycogen or sugar, that's in the body, both in the liver and the muscles, is 2,000 calories. And one uses that up at precisely about the 32nd kilometer. That's when you hit the wall, because there's nothing left, no more energy. So one has to be sure that one continues to hydrate and also eat along the way in order to avoid hitting the wall and to finish the race. And if one does so, boy, what a sense of triumph, but it's also reminding the marathoner, hey, you have to rest and you have to eat in order to survive, and then to be refreshed. So likewise, Jesus refreshes those who've hit the wall of life. So 2 people who've hit the wall are wonderfully described in today's gospel: the daughter of Jairus and the woman with the hemorrhaging. So in the sense that they have nowhere else to go, it's like these 2 people have come to the point where they hit the wall. It's like the elephant on their shoulders and trying to carry that and themselves to the finish line, and they can't. They're done, finished. They've hit the wall. So the very fact that they go to Jesus and He is the place of nourishment. You know, when one imagines our faith is very spiritual and not having anything to do with the physicality. But I think there's so much physical gestures in today's gospel. That even from the onset, Jairus, the leader of the synagogue, goes to the feet of Jesus and begs him, "Lay your hands upon my daughter." Then the woman with the hemorrhaging says, "I just want to touch his cloak and I will be healed." And Jesus, when He heals the daughter of Jairus, he takes her hands. In fact, after she's been healed, He says, "Give her something to eat." So very, very tangible. I mean, these are ways of refreshment. That our Lord is not just someone who says good words, but He's one of action. He shows physical signs of refreshment. But these 2 people have nowhere to go until they find the Lord, then they're truly healed. And they overcome the walls and, in fact, survive as a result. And so Jesus refreshes those who've hit the wall of life. Okay, the daughter of Jairus, the one with the hemorrhaging, hit the wall of life. But Jesus refreshed them and they're able to continue on their journey. Now, many of us will never run a marathon, especially on a day like today. However, I would consider our Christian lives as like a marathon, or even a race. But like a long distance of 42 kilometers, one can't sprint, and one cannot keep on going with any nourishment without hitting the wall. So why do we hit the wall, and how do we overcome hitting the wall in our own Christian lives? Well, I think if one does not rest and one does not nourish, you're going to hit the wall. And I think so much of our lives, I mean, there's such enthusiasm about things. Let's say first job, first good report card, marriage. But then the grind of life happens. And if one does not seek to refresh oneself, we hit the wall. And at that point, one essentially gives up on things, whether it's marriage, whether it's working, whether it's any kind of relationships. That's when one hits the wall. Can't do anything. It's like the elephant on our shoulders, and we're trying to carry that and us to the finish line. No way, it's not going to happen. But I think we have to take the example of the daughter of Jairus and the one with the hemorrhaging as an example of how to overcome the wall. And I would say we do it today. And I think that just a good marathoner will have trained well before the race, keep a steady pace through the race, and also stay refreshed and nourished through the whole run. And I think the very fact that we're here is an indication we want to get over the walls of life, that we need to rest. I mean, so much of our world today is so busied and harried that it's so easy to get caught up. And so when we speak about the commandments about resting on the Sabbath, well, it's like a moment. We give 1 hour of the 168 hours of our week to rest, kind of put things into perspective. And hopefully heeding the advice of the scriptures so we can better be fit for the journey, but ultimately to allow the Lord to touch us physically. And it's in the Eucharist that the Lord comes into our bodies. He nourishes us. It's not just kind words, but the Lord wants to come into our very bodies. He wants to rest in us, to nourish us, so we can avoid hitting the wall and run our Christian pilgrimage with great strength and keeping a steady pace until we come to eternal homeland. And we must know also people in our own lives who've hit the wall, who've given up, who feel that they're carrying an elephant on their shoulders and they can't keep on going. And I think if we've been refreshed at this Mass, then we must in turn refresh others who've hit the wall, and hopefully to allow them to be nourished in the Lord and then to keep on going with the respective journeys. So on a day like today, one would not run a marathon, nor run around do the loop around the lake for the Chestermere Public Library. But maybe other days we would. And I think it's important to take the advice of good marathoners. Make sure we train well, we keep a steady pace, and we remain nourished throughout the whole time. If not, we'll hit the wall. And so today, as we find nourishment and rest in the Lord at today's Mass, let us in turn help nourish others who've hit the wall of life.